Hey everyone, this is Tell Truth Radio. I'm your host, Ron Fitch. I'm going to tell you the truth about college basketball. We're near March Madness. So I'm working on trying to do a couple of podcasts, a couple of shows. I'm busy in the laboratory trying to get it done so I could launch out and get a huge audience and get a whole bunch of likes and subscribers and all that good stuff. But I got to bring it. I'm going to tell you the truth, whether you like it or not. This is the truth about college basketball. Then I'm going to get into the NBA, my final segment. Mid majors are going to be big. College basketball, I don't trust anyone. There's no clear cut favorite. There's no four teams. Oh, these are the final four teams. It's just not there. Everybody has flaws. And you know what the problem is? You have like teams with two options, two and a half options, maybe three options. You don't have that complete deep team. Like Kentucky has five good starters and not much, not depth like normal with the Calipari teams. And if you look at the teams, I'll tell you the teams. I'm going to tell you the formula is going to win. I love Sasser at Houston. Houston's number one. I love Sasser and how they ball out, but I don't trust them. They're not complete. UCLA has got the best guys as far as guys that have been there and done that. I love Amari Bailey. They got the nice little blend of youngsters, but Tiger Campbell and Hawkes Jr. They've been there, done that. That's what I do love. Russell Strong, been there, done that. David Singleton, been there, done that. Seniors, they got seniors. They got the go-to guys, solid point guard. They're not super deep. I just wonder if they'll pay for that. I love them. I may put them in the Final Four. I'm not sure. Um, but they're close. Alabama is complete, but they turn the ball over a lot. I mean, you look at Alabama's roster, man. My gosh. That's as good as you could get. Quinterly is a senior, and Mark Sears is a junior, in the backcourt with Clowney, who's coming on as a center, and you got the superstar and Brandon Miller. But the only problem is they're the deepest team. They're the team. If you look at it on paper, that's the team that's going to win the national championship. Alabama. Problem is, ever since the Brandon Miller incident, they've struggled a little. It's going to weigh on you. He's a kid, got the situation, being friends with an idiot, and the idiot says, "Go, come, just bring my gun there." You don't know. I mean, I wouldn't have done it. I don't know. From what I hear, he sounds like a good kid that made an idiotic decision. And he's very fortunate not to be suspended. But that weighs on you. Then the fans are going to chant, "You're a criminal, lock him up." They're going to go. They're going to just taunt you. Hey, saying that's okay, but it affects that distraction is what kids don't need. So, and the criticism of the coach for not disciplining him, and you could tell. And they finally got beat by Texas A&M. I want to tell you something. Texas A&M has the best defensive team in the country, and they were the best free throw shooting team in the country. They're not super deep. They got two good options, and that's it. Their point guard, who's a stud. The point guard's a really good stud. Uh, Wade Taylor is just a superstar. He had 28 points and 3 rebounds. They're decent up there. They play really good defense, and they're solid. Just not. I don't think they're talented enough to get to a Final Four, but they're good enough. I like how they play, and I love Buzz Peterson. I love him as a coach. Uh, they just for defensive purposes, especially if you're playing a non-SEC team and you haven't seen that kind of defense before, they could really get to the Sweet 16. Just not. I don't know if they got enough to get that home to get to a Final Four. Kansas is the second deepest team. They got the best. Other than Alabama, they got the best roster. They just lose games. They're blown out by Texas. I know Texas needed the game a little more. They were home, but they just get beat, and they get beat soundly, and it makes you scratch your head. They can win the whole thing. But I can say about a lot of teams, I don't trust them all the way. And it's going to be hard to repeat. You're not going. You might not get the breaks. You might not have a center. Your center throw up a 3-point shot at the last minute unexpectedly and make a shot. And you make this miraculous comeback. Maybe this year, if you get down by 15, you get beat. So it might you might not get all those breaks. So you need them. I remember the Carmelo Anthony Syracuse team. They got a lot of cool breaks, and they were able to be fortunate to win. And I was happy for Boeheim to get that championship. You need breaks. You need that one game where you don't really play well and you steal a game and you get away with it and you win. That's part of the tournament. But maybe this year you don't get those breaks when you already got them last year. I love Purdue. They're not as fast. I love Edie as center. I love they're smart, they're structured, they shoot it pretty good. I would pick them if I didn't worry about them getting burned off the dribble. I would pick Purdue. Marquette's on fire, and they got two good options. They're not super deep, but they're on fire. They're playing good defense. They get after you, and I love Shaka. I love Shaka Smart. I'll ride with Marquette. I could ride with them to the Final Four. I don't think they're good enough to win it. Texas has got good guards, and just sometimes they're a little on the wild side for me. Arizona's not deep enough. Gonzaga's a team I would love. I love their point guard. I love Timmy, because Timmy's the type of guy, no one plays the post anymore. It's high screen and roll, drive the basket, dish it out, move the ball, swing the ball around, find 3-point shooter. Pros in college. Because Timmy is a post player, you're not used to that. And he flourishes because he'll school you in the post. You're not used to defending that. But if Gonzaga had one more guy pick them to win the whole thing, they're just not deep enough. These teams are not deep enough, man. But I do like Gonzaga. Baylor comes and goes defensively, but they got some studs. They got some studs on their team. Keaton George is a stud as a freshman. They got nice backcourt, but they're like hands. They have clunkers. Connecticut solid. Kansas State, Virginia, they're a solid team. Duke is on a roll, but they're whooped up on the weak sixes of poor. The ACC stinks this year. I don't believe in anybody in the ACC, but Duke's good enough to get to Sweet 16 because Whitehead is going to be. He seems like he's back from injury, and they're solid. They're solid across the board, but they beat a lousy North Carolina team that's dysfunctional, and they look like there's some infighting there. So I wasn't impressed. I wasn't impressed with any of the victories, but they do seem like they are coming together and they're playing a lot better and they're trending up. So I do respect that. Kentucky, like I said, they're a 5-man team. And Cal's coaching the heck. Cal's coaching well. Everybody gets on my guy, and they tease me about because I love Cal, and they end up sometimes they underachieve. And you see all the NBA stars are littered in the NBA with Kentucky players, and I get teased a lot. Cal got one chip, but this year you can't get on them. 5-man team, not superstars. Next year will be a great team. That's my Final Four team next year with that awesome backcourt they got coming. But they can make a run. They're playing solid together. They got some. He finally has some upperclassmen that stayed, so they can make a little. I would like to see them get to the Sweet 16, or maybe the Final 8 and give Calipari some love for coaching this year. But that's college. That's the college basketball. And Indiana, I do like, but I love the 1-2 punch that Indiana got. I really do. They got blown out by Iowa, but I do like Trace Jackson Davis is a nice little play. Could shoot it a little bit. He's slick on the inside. And Race Thompson's good. Callaway's good. They got a nice team. Not good enough to win it all. Nice enough to maybe get to 16. You got all these 16 possibilities for teams. I gave you that. I'm going to tell you what's going to be big. When you get in the tournament, you got, first of all, some of these teams better win some conference tournament games like Michigan and Carolina, but Carolina ain't making it. And for seeding purposes, like Alabama wants to make a little bit of a run. They want the number 1 seed. Gonzaga and UCLA are fighting for the West. They got to win their conference tournaments. They want to be home. Connecticut has got to win the Big East because you get to New York City. That Connecticut could be dangerous if they ever got to New York City in Sweet 16. That's what they do. When they get to New York City, they ball out. There's a ton of. I've covered the Big East tournament. Ton. It's the second home for Connecticut. There's a ton of Connecticut fans that come there. I'm gonna tell you what you got to have. Of course, you got to play defense, but you know what you got to have? You got to go get the 50-50 balls. Every one of these teams, there's no clear-cut favorite. So all these games are going to come down to, most of them are going to come down to the last 5 minutes and the 50-50 balls. Can you get the offensive rebounds, the loose balls? Can you get the loose balls? Because you want shots at the rim the last 5 minutes. You want to get a second chance. If you get that 50-50 ball, you hustle, you save the ball, the defense is not set, you get the ball while the defense is not set, you dribble drive, you kick it out to a wide open, your best three-point shooter, bam. That is a momentum changer. Now, the game could change. 50-50 balls, last seconds, 2 minutes left. They're going to review. The ball is in your favor because you hustled and you maybe threw the ball out of bounds off of the player, and you get another possession. You want possessions, you want shot attempts. You won't be throwing the ball away with the game on the line. Another thing you got to do, if you have a 5-point lead, 2 minutes left, 1 minute left, to get the game home, you got to hit that 1-and-1. Got to hit the first one. That gives you at least it's a clear possession. You got a point out of it. You want it ideally hit both. You don't want to miss. You don't want to get fouled. No time comes off the clock. And you miss your 1-and-1, and they come down and hit a three. It's a now it's a one possession game. Now they foul you again. Now all the pressure on the world's on you. Now you miss again. They ended up tying or taking a lead. The momentum swings are going to be huge because it's so close. There's no clear-cut favorite. And like Alabama's clearly one of the best talents in the league, but is Brandon Miller plays great. He's a freshman. Can they not turn the ball over? Can't turn the ball over with 5 minutes. I watched them against A&M. They get a chance, as bad as they play, they get a chance to – Brandon Miller fouls out, and they right the ship, and they get a chance to tie the score up or take the lead. They get a rebound. They get a stop. The guard throws the ball right away to the point guard, to Wade on the point guard of Texas A&M. Throws the ball right to him. And the game's over. They fouled me, and A&M, they don't miss free throws. That's what would scare me. If I'm playing A&M, they don't miss free throws. So when they get to 1-on-1, they're cashing all their chips in. And you gotta make free throws. So there's no favorite. Everyone's kind of flawed. Everybody's got a flaw here and there. And you also, like I said, Kansas was fortunate. They come back on Carolina, and their big McCormick hits a three. They don't expect that. So the unexpected, you kind of need that to happen. Like NC State, that great run they had a couple of lucky breaks. The other team made a couple of mistakes, and they pounced on it and ended up winning a national championship. You got to have that, because when it's evenly matched, you're going to have to get some fortunate breaks. Unfortunately, maybe a bad call, because sometimes these referees are incompetent. Maybe a bad block charge call. But a lot of times it comes down to 50-50 balls. 1-on-1, executing your half-court offense when you need your guy, your stars, with the 2 or 3 stars that these teams have, when the guy you want with the ball has a shot. That's all you ask for when it comes down to these type of competitive situations. Cannot wait until March Madness starts. That was a great game yesterday. I got to see Kyrie versus KD on different teams. Dallas and Phoenix, it didn't disappoint. All the stars played well. Luka and Kyrie and Booker and KD. And KD does what KD does all the time. It was a terrific game, back and forth toward the end. KD hits a pull-up jumper, 12 seconds left. And then Luka misses a 4-foot shot. Yeah, he did everything he possibly could. It was a typical Luka move. It usually makes it just went in and out, and they end up winning. And it was a great game. Durant had 37, Booker had 36, Paul had 7 assists. Wainwright was they need Ish Wainwright, Mr. Baylor himself hit some big shots. He's been in some big games at Baylor. And Cameron Payne is KD makes everybody better. Everybody, the Suns were dead man walking until KD got there. Even though they lost some key pieces, Dallas would beat them and toy with them. Last year, the Mavericks destroyed them in Game 7. I never saw a team get beat that bad in Game 7. That was the worst Game 7 beatdown I ever saw in my life. Worst one, just a ridiculous beatdown in Game 7 with the argument with Ayton and how Ayton was arguing. I'm still not impressed with Ayton, even though he had a nice putback. He's played a little better, but Payne plays good. Craig is solid on defense. So they're not super deep, but with KD, it doesn't matter because he'll make up the difference. He's seamless. He can play in any offense. He's efficient as all heck. He doesn't miss free throws. He's 3 of 5 from 3 because he takes those good 3-point shots. And now Booker is now awoken. Now he gets you 36 and 10 assists. Luka was solid. Luka was kind of hurt. Luka had 34. He's 8 of 23 though. And Kyrie was fantastic. And Hardaway Jr. was fantastic. This was a good game. Wood was fantastic. So I was very, very impressed with the Suns and how good the Suns are. One thing I don't like, I didn't like Booker getting in Luka's face. I understand that there's beef, but I'm tired of the ringless basketball players running their mouth. I mean, the Suns and the Grizzlies would be an interesting matchup between Booker and Dylan Brooks. They'll be talking to each other. Nobody's got no rings. Nobody's got no championship. Booker folded in the finals. So you got a guy that never been there that talks a lot. And you got a guy that folded in the finals. That'd be an interesting matchup with the Grizzlies and Suns. And they're both yapping at each other like they're champions, like they're Bird and Magic. Now, listen, the Suns should win it all this year. So if they do that, now, you know what? If they beat Dallas in a series, and Booker turns around, trash talks Luka, I got it. But not during the regular season. Don't be an idiot. Then I remember he trash talked Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson said, look at these 4 rings. And Booker had to look and say, I could see in Booker's head, okay. Booker didn't say nothing. Booker probably said, yeah, okay, you got that off. You're right. I should shut up. That's what he should do. Too good. Just too good a play. I don't want to see that garbage. I like watching them. I don't want to see that. It was like the Grizzlies. I like watching them, but then the nonsense and the talking, and I'm going to get to Ja before I sign off. But another team I like, the Knicks are on fire right now, 9 in a row, beating the Celtics in a game they shouldn't have won. Because when they blew that lead and they went to overtime, at home, in Boston, you had to know the Celtics was going to win. The Knicks survived that overtime. The second overtime, it favored the Knicks. And they took care of business. And Quigley was great. Another one of Calipari's guys. 38 points. He was just, he had energy. Randall had 31. I don't like his shot selection sometimes. And Barrett was solid without the great Brunson, who's usually their heart and soul when it comes to crunch time, point guard, smart play. But Josh Hart, I love. That was a good pickup. But Julius Randle at the end of games, dribbling and not looking from behind, getting the ball taken from him, and then trying to do that same move that gets his shot blocked. Sometimes I don't like that, and that could cost them if they play Cleveland in the first round. But, he's playing a lot better with Brunson, so I'll take a wait-and-see approach. But the Bucks are top the East. Boston's in a little bit of a slide. And the Sixers are trying to catch them. The East is going to be great. The NBA is just as competitive as college because you just don't know. You just don't know with Denver and Memphis. Are Are they going to make the conference final? The top two teams? I'm not sure. I Phoenix is going to be there. Golden State's going to be hurt once they get their bearings straight. So we shall see. And I want to see what Zion does if he comes back. New Orleans, if they make it, they need him. They're not healthy. That's frustrating. That team, I thought, had possibilities. Now I want to get to Ja Morant. What are you doing? Ja Morant is suspended for 2 games, but it could be more, for a series of events, allegedly beating up a 17-year-old at a pickup game at his house, coming kind of with his mom calling at the mall saying she got issue with a worker. He's coming up instead of by himself where he can confront him like a man. He brings his posse there. Then in the club, he's flashed his gun after all the bad stuff, bad pub. That's idiocy. And he's not that guy. You know what he should do? I got the little PR apology, means nothing. What he should do is say, listen, I'm going to give my heartfelt apology. I kind of been out of sorts, and I've been out of control. I'm acting like a thug. I'm not a thug. I'm a regular guy. I'm a loving father of my daughter. My dad is an awesome dude. I got a great family. I'm playing ball. I don't have to go out here and get idiotic street cred, which is worth $0 and worth zero character. I don't need that. I don't care what anybody thinks. I don't care about none of that. If you say that, listen, and you got to cut some of the friends loose, you got to cut them loose. And people talk about you, that's okay. Because this could have went different. Say, for instance, that 17-year-old knows somebody a little older. Instead of pressing charges, he said, oh, okay. He comes back with hood rats. That's in Memphis, with hood rats. They want to do a little more. They want to start a little more that comes with a little more of a violent energy. Now what are you doing? You're not about that life, Ja. Then what happens? What about the mall incident? And you come there and intimidate that worker. What if the worker says, oh, okay, and now all of a sudden he gets on the phone and he's connected with the wrong kind of people in Memphis. They come up there and you got your crew, and now their crew's there. Now it's on. Now we got a little gunplay going. Then what happens? Are you going to make it out of there? Remember what happened to Young Dolph? Look at some of the rappers that want to go back and forth with the real gangsters. Look how they could have ended worse. So now it's time to shut that down. And I want to give you an example. Michael Vick. I watched the Michael Vick documentary. I was just like, oh my gosh. Michael Vick was fortunate enough to get away from them hoodlums after the dogfighting incident. I was able to interview the head of PETA at that time during the dogfighting trial of Vick. And it was, listen, we didn't agree on nothing. So it was back and forth, the interview. But it was interesting because I just thought they overdid it with the way they came after Vick and this unforgivable crap that we can never forgive you. And Michael Vick turned his life around and went and did a lot of stuff that was anti-dog fighting. He was really good in the community, and he was a model citizen. And I could care less about people that never forgive them. Screw them. I hate to say it like that, but that was awesome. And now Ja should learn from Vick. Go talk to Michael Vick, and Vick will say, listen, get away from that. Don't be about none of that life. Live your life, play ball. Maybe if you get the right people and you stop talking so much and you get focused and be hungry and humble, you could win a championship. Listen to Vic. Talk to the real, let your dad come in there. Dad's got to be a dad now. You're come in there and talk to him, but like, listen, this has to stop, okay? We're going to enjoy our time in Memphis. We're going to give back. We're going to love. We're going to teach these kids that you don't have to be a thug to be accepted. And our culture, that's not our culture. Our culture is excellence. Screw the media pushing it. I'm going to tell you one more thing. Asai, the owner of the Nets, how he treated Kyrie was terrible. I just wonder how he would have did Ja Morant. Like Nike dropped Kyrie for a tweet. Kyrie has been a model citizen, and they punished him and they criticized him. And Nike has stayed on. We're going to ride with Ja, which is cool, because you should have rode with Ja and you still should have rode with Kyrie. But the problem was when you're disobedient to go along, get along politics and go along, get along one way, one thought. In the corporate world, that's more egregious than acting like a thug. He could have went out there and shot gunshots around, and Nike would have still kept Ja. I hate to say that, but because Kyrie is his own man, that's more of a bigger sin in this distorted, ridiculous corporate world. So Nike would drop him quicker than Ja, but he could have kept both of them, because I don't believe in dropping Ja either, because Ja could. It seems like on the surface, he seems like he's probably a good kid, making some bad decisions. So, okay, Nike's patient with him. You could have been patient with Kyrie and just said, "Listen, we don't agree to tweet, but because you're doing stuff in the community, we're gonna push that. We're gonna push excellence." That'll let you know all about the real and what's not real. I'm just letting you know. And shout out to Marcus Stroman of my Chicago Cubs for putting that out there when nobody wanted to say that. Nobody wanted to defend Kyrie. And it's about the vaccine, the anger over him defiantly saying, "I won't take the vax." That's way more egregious to Nike than potential crimes. I just want to be real. The potential crimes, if Ja would have actually committed, I don't know. I mean, that's still a court case. Could be pending. It could be aggravated assault. That's not a big deal to Nike. But not taking a vaccine is the unforgivable sin. And the tweet kind of was the residue of him being disobedient to the go along, get along ideology is way worse than being a thug and doing actually real bad stuff.